When the HomePod first came out, it was a product with a very limited market. A good, maybe great sounding speaker was pretty much only meant for people who used Apple Music. It had a ridiculous price tag of $349, which was later dropped to $299. Soon after it was released, Apple started putting Apple Music on other devices like the Amazon Echo, so it became a little unclear on who should buy the HomePod. When you could get an Amazon Echo, which was also a smart speaker, for a much cheaper price, sometimes as cheap as even like $20 or $30. The speaker may not be as good on those options, but for most people I don't think that mattered. Siri on the HomePod has always been less helpful than its competitors from Google and Amazon. The HomePod didn't integrate well with the Apple TV, and it just didn't get the attention that the other devices like the Echo and the Nest Hub got from Amazon and Google. All that being said, I was curious how Apple would handle the HomePod's future. They could just sort of let it fade away, or they could put some effort into it and try and get more customers. Well, now we have a better idea with the announcement of the HomePod Mini, along with some other new features that are coming to the Mini and the regular HomePod. The HomePod Mini is significantly smaller than the original HomePod, and it has a new, almost Apple-like shape. It is priced at $99, which is competitive with the standard mid-range Echoes and Nest devices. One of my biggest issues with the original HomePod was the price. It was far too expensive to be able to put it throughout your home. It was meant to be a living room speaker for Apple Music, and that's it. Not an alarm clock or a white noise machine or just a smart assistant that you wanted to place anywhere else. But with the HomePod Mini, I feel like it's not nearly as ridiculous to put one of these in every room of your home. The HomePod Mini offers 360-degree sound, like the HomePod, but it doesn't have the same spatial awareness capability. The large HomePod excels at hearing the wake word, so I'll be curious to see if the HomePod Mini also excels in this, because it only has 4 microphones instead of the 6. You can still do multi-room audio with AirPlay, and you can pair 2 minis in stereo. You can't pair a HomePod and a HomePod Mini though. But I'm not sure why you would do that, because I think it's safe to assume that the HomePod Mini isn't going to sound as good as the HomePod. So it would just kind of seem unbalanced. But we don't have our hands on the HomePod Mini yet, so we are going to have to wait and see how it does sound. One potentially major difference with the HomePod Mini versus the regular HomePod is the HomePod Mini has Apple's ultra-wideband or U1 chip. It's sort of unclear how Apple's going to use this in the future, but they did mention how it'll improve on the audio handoff capabilities, where the regular HomePod sometimes struggles with this. It's not really sure if you're holding your phone nearby. And the U1 chip will be able to talk to the U1 chip in your phone, and it'll know exactly where your phone is, and it'll know what you're trying to do. Another potential use with this ultra-wideband U1 chip is the HomePod Mini may be able to answer personal requests from people that aren't in your household, because it'll know that their phone is nearby and basically be able to look in their phone and answer questions like, what's on my calendar, or do I have any reminders, or about your messages. Like I said, it's sort of unclear how Apple right now is planning on using this, and not everyone is going to have an iPhone with the ultra wideband chip, because they didn't start putting those in until the iPhone 11. But I can see this being super useful down the road. If you're familiar with the larger HomePod, I think you can expect much of the same experience, just in a smaller package. It should be great for basic things like executing HomeKit commands, checking the weather, or setting timers. But Google and Amazon still have a massive lead in their smart home ecosystem. Pretty much every smart home product always supports Google and Amazon first, and it seems like a struggle to get the HomeKit support. So you're still going to have those limitations. Also, Spotify still isn't supported through Siri. As far as I know, this is up to Spotify, but they're constantly battling with Apple over various things, so it's unclear whether Spotify is going to enable that. So besides the new hardware, there was some other interesting HomePod news. First, there's a feature called Intercom. Both HomePods, the Mini and the regular one, along with many of your other Apple devices, will let you communicate voice messages between each other. So for example, I think Apple gave this example in the keynote. If you're cooking dinner, you could say, hey HomePod, tell everyone in the house that dinner is done, and it'll broadcast that message to every HomePod in your house. Or for example, when you're driving home in your CarPlay-enabled car, you could send a message home to your HomePod asking if you should pick anything up, and then whoever's at home could respond. One interesting feature that was discovered on Apple's webpage is that the larger original HomePod will be capable of home theater with Apple TV 4K. I have long been asking for the Apple TV and the HomePods to integrate with each other better. It seemed obvious that you would be able to use one or two HomePods as the speakers for your TV. I backed off this recently because after trying it for a while, I kind of realized that it didn't sound that great because there wasn't really a center channel for the voice in whatever you were watching to sound good. But details are slowly coming out about how they will be able to dedicate some of the speakers in the HomePod to a center, basically to act as a center channel. And apparently it will be able to support 5.1, 7.1, and Dolby Atmos sound. Again, this is another thing that I'm looking forward to trying, and I have no way of knowing right now how it's going to sound. And as I mentioned, this will not be available for the HomePod Mini, and it also specifically said Apple TV 4K, not the HD Apple TV. The original HomePod had a premium price, premium speaker quality, but average at best smart home capabilities, which meant it just wasn't meant for most people when you could get an Echo or a Nest device for so much cheaper. I think with the HomePod Mini, Apple has a chance of getting it into more people's homes, which is only going to be good for other HomePod owners. The HomePod Mini will be open to pre-order on November 6th and available on November 16th. I'm definitely looking forward to trying one out.